Hi, everybody. Bob Schwartz here, the Executive Director of ACEP, and I'm really happy to have with us Dr. Brad Nelson, who is the developer of the Emotion Code and the Body Code. And we will be talking a little bit about what he'll be talking about at the Energy Psychology Conference. Hi, Brad. How are you?
Great, Bob.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you'll be speaking about for everybody? And I know you're going to be talking about the Emotion Code.
Right. Absolutely. Well, the Emotion Code is this method that developed during all the years that I was in practice as a holistic chiropractor. I was trying to get to the bottom of what my patients' problems were. And I was in the habit of asking for help from up above with each person that I saw. I believe it was really an answer to prayer that got me to go into the healing arts in the first place. And so as time went on, there was more and more information that kind of filtered through to me. And so I ended up finding out that most of our problems are actually due to our emotional baggage. And what I found was that we developed what I call trapped emotions, which a trapped emotion is a ball of energy from about the size of a baseball to about the size of a cantaloupe that can lodge anywhere in the body. And these things do two things to us, really. They distort the normal energy field of the body. And because all the body really is ultimately is an energy field anyway, when you distort part of that energy field, you're going to have problems because you're interfering with chemical reactions. And so what we find is that 90% of all the pain, physical pain that people have is actually caused by their emotional baggage. And these trapped emotions also affect us mentally and emotionally because, and I believe the reason why is because when you have a trapped emotion, that area of the body is literally vibrating at that particular emotional frequency all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so when a situation arises that might tend to make you feel that emotion, you will feel it much more readily than you otherwise would. So the Emotion Code is just this really simple, easy, fast way to zero in and find these and get rid of them permanently.
Cool. It's interesting because I've been working on a project, and one of the things I've been very interested in is the adverse childhood events study. Oh my God! Forgot to turn off the phone. Okay, so the adverse childhood events study, which is found. I don't know if you're aware of this, but they looked at 17,000 people back in the 90s, and they just found this incredible dose. Relationship between traumatic events and all kinds of things, heart disease, cancer, and of course, anxiety, depression. It's really quite stunning just how much emotional stuff gets stored and then how it causes all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, well, I couldn't agree more. And that's why I left my practice in 2004 and started working on this book, The Emotion Code, published it in 2007. So we're coming up on the 10th anniversary this year. And it's gone all over the world. And the beautiful thing about it is it's so simple that anybody can do it. We have kids as young as 5 using it. And in fact, I have to tell you a really fun story that I heard. There was a woman who bought The Emotion Code, the book and the audio, and started reading it and listening to it. And her son started reading it and listening to it. And he started practicing with his friends, and she didn't pay much attention. But a couple of weeks later, the phone rang, and the woman on the other end of the phone line identified herself as the mother of one of her son's friends. She said, listen, she said, your son's been doing this emotion thing. And she said, I have to tell you something really dramatic has happened. She said, my son has had a severe phobia of water all of his life. Nothing has ever worked. We've taken him to all kinds of people. It just was something we thought he was going to live with for his whole life. But she said, right now, I'm at the community pool. She said, my son is swimming in the pool with the other boys for the first time in his life. She said, your son did this to him. How's this even possible? What in the world is he doing? Those two boys are only 11. So that's it. That's the beauty of this, is it's so easy.
That's a great story. And I'm hoping that one of the things you'll maybe be talking to us about is, I'm sure there are tons of stories like that, but I'm also sure that if it were, that it isn't always that easy, right?
Right.
Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. And this becomes a very interesting dynamic around one size fits all versus the more clinical acumen, because again, some things do work that easily, especially I think when people are younger and
Right.
there's openness, but sometimes things get crusty or they're just more complicated. So is that something you'll be discussing a bit?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the reality is everybody is different, and the really exciting stories, we'd love to have those every single time. But of course, that's just not how healing is.
Right.
I mean, sometimes it takes a long time for people to build up a lot of layers of imbalances, and sometimes people are dragging a lot of emotional baggage with them. One of the things we're going to talk about that I think will be really interesting for your audience is something that we call inherited trapped emotions, which ties in
epigenetic stuff, huh?
Yes, epigenetic stuff, absolutely. Because what we have found is that we inherit emotional baggage from mom or dad that they might have inherited from their mom or dad, and sometimes these can go back, 20 generations or more. And we now know how to find, identify, and get rid of those. And of course, in the medical world, what's happening, with the research coming out that I'm sure you're aware of about Holocaust survivors and how their descendants are exhibiting all of these downstream effects, mentally, emotionally, physically, from what their grandparents went through. And so I think that's going to be a really interesting aspect of what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I think that's a cutting edge, this inherited stuff. I know a number of other folks will be talking about that. It seems to be a growing trend. And it's high time, right? Because we keep passing down all this stuff and we keep repeating the same old story. And sometimes we go, have we gotten anywhere? And it's like, I think so. I think we have. But some days I go, have we? No, maybe we haven't gotten anywhere. It sort of depends on my mood. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's really one of the most interesting areas about the emotion code, one of the most fascinating parts of it. The other thing I'm going to be talking about is the heart wall.
Oh, yes. That's very interesting.
Yes, and what we found happens to people is that when they feel like their heart is going to break, the subconscious mind will put up layers. It will build a wall around that heart made of layers of their emotional energies, their emotional baggage, to protect the heart from being totally broken. It's a totally invisible thing. You can't see it. But what we find is that 93% of people have this phenomenon going on. And when those layers are taken down and that heart is open again, people fall in love that never ever thought they would. People get married at advanced ages. It's amazing what happens. So that'll be a lot of fun too.
Oh, that's something to look forward to. Well, I think that's a perfect place to end this talk. I'm looking forward to seeing you in San Antonio. We hope everybody comes. It's going to be great. We're excited to have Brad there and all the other faculty, and we hope you'll come too. So we'll see you soon. Thanks very much. Bye.